The question has been asked 100 times. What would you do to improve X class? It is true, in Aliens, not all classes have been created equal. Most of them, though, can easily be tweaked to be very effective. Let's have a look on how it can be done. Greetings Marines, FiOth here, and in this vid we're gonna be answering the age-old questions about how can its class be buffed, which classes need buffing, what's the worst class in Aliens FTE right now. I'm gonna provide some insight on all that, and I am not reading from a script, I just have a few notes in front of me. I'm not some guru when it comes to the game, I'm not a celestial deity or anything like that, I'm just a gamer like you trying to make conversation, and I appreciate your presence on the channel very much. Your comments have been overwhelming and humbling, guys, and many people have been asking about this topic, so I put this video together. Please come comment, counter argue with me, always be respectful towards your fellow human beings, and we can have a very beneficial discussion for all of us. Okay, so I'm gonna get the easy stuff out of the way, like what works, what's fine, and so on and so forth, and then I'll take it from the least problematic to the most problematic class. Okay, let's go. So here are the classes. We'll start from the gunner. The gunner doesn't ever need to be touched for whatever reason. Leave the gunner alone. The gunner is amazing. The only thing that would benefit the gunner if we went to the docs class perks. If anesthesiologist was a universal, the gunner would be unstoppable, but that's not the gunner's perk. It's a pros versus cons kind of thing, and the gunner is a beast, a force to be reckoned with. A suggestion I would make to the people trying to perfect their gunner: don't stand beside your teammates at the back of the map taking pot shots at the enemy as the gunner. Put on mobility. Well, I don't have it now on my build because I swapped it up. Put on mobility, stack up on your movement speed and passive resistances, and flank, counterattack, take enemies by surprise, throw grenades in their midst, disorient them, blast them with a shotgun in the face. The gunner is a mobile slayer. He has to be out there. He's the assassin of the game. You have to make good use of what they bring to the table. Second will come the technician. The technician also doesn't need to be touched, like for whatever reason. We breezed through the last campaign of the game on extreme with 2 technicians. Having a flame turret is like having a 4th player. The coils offer awesome slow, can be deployed on quick succession, and having 3 of them down at any given point with the right perk configuration, as you can see here, can give you a 30% damage boost. Jesus, it's amazing. The technician is fine where it stands. Now, slightly more problematic situations. The Recon. Let's check the Recon out. Okay, so the Recon is a very potent class that people tend to misunderstand. Okay, but there are a couple of things that could be done to make it more potent. First and foremost, the drone's 10 HP per kill is ridiculously little. It should be a percentage of the enemy's total health pool. A runner on Insane has 2500 HP. Okay, it takes 2 headshots from a mid to hard hitting sniper rifle to down one runner. If out of those 2500 HP, okay, we would gain back 2% health, 2%, it'd be a 50. Destroy a cluster of those guys with a grenade from a gunner who's standing in your drone and get back 200 HP. It would be felt, it would not be broken, it would not substitute the dock. Okay, the drone's healing has to be a bit more potent. Second, the drone's zone, since the drone stays on the field for so little, should do something more than just give you a pathetic heal and dish out ammo. If the drone could somewhat slow the enemy or zap them for minimum amounts of damage, but something that could be felt like something substantial like the pups, It would be very, very good since its presence is very brief. The pubs have to either be configured for wide room CC with the default pubs, or they have to be configured with guard dog to guard choke points. If the drone could do some stuff like that, but on a smaller scale and for a briefer duration, it would give it some more utility. The Recon lacks in the CC department horrendously. The universal slow that comes in the form of Distrusting Howl is great, but that's all the pubs will do for you, and highlighting the targets, of course. So you have one active that slows enemies universally, and that is very good, but will have a cooldown except if you spec it perfectly, and will not deal any damage, and the drone will give you a meager amount of HP and ammo. None of these abilities do any damage. Put a little zapper on the drone, and when enemies enter its proximity whilst you're trying to get ammo, they would be zapped for a meager amount, like 200 HP. Okay, that would get the Recon at the top with the rest of them. Now, the next one. I don't think that the second to last is necessarily the Phalanx or the demo, because the Phalanx has been buffed and is much more potent now, but still not a top class by any means. You have to play very consciously to be a good Phalanx. The demo is a bit more forgiving. So I'd say the Phalanx can be better than the demo, but with a higher skill ceiling, I'll start talking about the demo. Okay, the demo needs a massive overhaul of their heavies, huge buffs, and some buffer when it comes to friendly fire. Guys, it's fine, we understand, friendly fire is an aspect of the game. For the demo, you can wipe your whole team with a misplaced rocket. And on top of that, if we take a look at the demo's arsenal of heavies, let's say for example, the rocket launcher 1463, a runner has 2500 HP on insane. How is this a heavy weapon? The smart gun is a joke. You can't kill anything with a smart gun that's not a small fry, and small fries will take up half the capacity of this gun on higher settings. Were all these guns created with standard in mind? Just for people who go in there, play with the bots and be done with it? Was that a cash grab? Don't you want this game to have longevity? Half the arsenal of the demo is useless on higher settings, and the demo is supposed to be the CC heavy hitter clearing the room type of guy. For fuck's sake, the passive states clear the room. Okay, so the heavies need a massive numbers buff here and some buffer of damage for your allies. I don't know, say to take off friendly fire, but there needs to be some leeway so this will be usable on higher settings where we're just jumping around trying to save our lives. The rockets, micro rockets, sorry, I was looking for a sec at my notes, need a huge damage buff. The rockets will either be damaging with the build I have here, for example, my micro build, or they can be concussive with this modifier, which will make their damage meager. The gunner can have disorienting blast on his grenades and can both destroy health bars and stun whatever remains standing or lying on their backs. Okay, the blast wave is a good self-serving defensive solution, but the range is not enough to cover the team and you have to invest in the range to make it viable. If you invest on the range of the blast wave, you will lose out of the usage of your rockets, which are already weak. Does not make much sense for the rockets to be so weak when a grenade is so powerful. They're fucking rockets, they have a build-up charge time, guys. Make them feel it. Don't be stingy. These classes are barely usable on Extreme and Insane. Okay. Third point, the heavy, since we're always dealing with small ammo reserves, has to have a specialized sidearm that only the heavy, the demo, will be using. Like the pea shooter we have on all other classes, make it, I don't know, a Colt Python for the demo. It's the big guns guy. He brings a Colt Python with him, which is awesome. Look at these glasses, guys. These glasses, this haircut, and the Colt Python, come on. You can't go wrong with that. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, a specialized sidearm, so when we run out of ammo with the demo can still protect the teammates because he's a big guns guy or lass. A specialized sidearm will be awesome. We actually have a universal that can be unlocked on the demo for better sidearm usage. At least make it tied to this. This will grant also a heavy sidearm. And please, not that laser bullshit that came out. It's pretty pathetic. I hate it. Okay, now the Phalanx. The Phalanx got buffed insanely 24 hours ago. Like, this thing is a beast now. It's a freaking beast. Not only against synthetics, but against Xenos as well right now. I really appreciate what they did. It can be made to be a little bit more effective though. One suggestion I would make is for the shock barrier. We could make it like so that the shock barrier gives a better defensive buff than 33% and a larger duration. You cast it and you can go balls deep into the enemy formation and take aggro so your allies can eliminate the threat, make it that much more tanky. The Phalanx also needs some sort of, how should I put it, an ability to take the aggro on themselves, like a shout or a red blinking light for the Xeno, or an antenna that will produce a very screeching sound that will drive them nuts and draw them towards you. If you take aggro, your allies can set up defenses, your allies can take down the opposition. That much more tanky when it comes to the logic behind the class itself. It will really benefit the Phalanx. Okay. Second suggestion I would make would be for a modifier or a perk that would turn your shield into a barrier extender to your left and to your right, like a barrier wall or something like that, or more sheets of metal. I don't know, guys, make it look heavier and have more sheets of metal in it if you don't want laser technology and barrier technology and stuff like that in your Aliens universe. But making an actual wall in front of the team to block off offenders and attackers would be a godsend, and it would have to be considered always for defensive positions. It would make the Phalanx much more viable without making it unbeatable. Xenos can climb on walls, they can climb on the ceiling and come behind your defenses, but that would be a buffer. Like, if you want to get past it, you will have to climb, or it would be possible but damage them whilst they're passing through. Okay. Also, the shock pulse is great, but the recharge rate on it is very slow, very punishing. If it would have a wider range, okay, and smaller cooldown, so you could deploy it more haphazardly to control more angles and corners and so on and so forth, it would make the Phalanx much more viable, a much more viable defensive solution for CC. That's crowd control. Last and sadly least, the dock. I love the dock, guys. I would suggest you check my suppressor build that came out earlier today. The dock has some issues, but I have a few ideas here that could make it a better class. First and foremost, the dock should be able to carry 2 health kits. You shouldn't have to choose between healing one or the other of the allies you have close to you, because that's literally the best thing you're good at, and limiting to 1 health pack doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, a health pack on any other class is an afterthought, is an extra. For the dock, is its job. You need to be carrying 2 of those things, like no question about it. Okay, you should be getting pylon energy, you should be getting station energy whenever you heal someone with a health pack. Just picking it up and getting 750 doesn't necessarily mean that you're healing enough. I'm not saying shoot enemies to get it, because that would be greatly abusable, but gain some back when you heal someone. It's not like the mechanic makes max sense, like lore-wise. You're not slotting the health packs in the pylon and it recharges itself. Just make a mechanic that loops. You pick up health packs, it recharges a little. You heal someone with a health pack, it recharges a little. The dock should be running at least half full all the time throughout the mission. The pilot should always have some juice. If he doesn't have some juice, It cannot be used for anything. It gets pretty bad. Okay. Not to mention that for Painkiller Station, you have to be standing in it. You just have to draw from its reserves or you're getting hit. And when it's empty, you're losing all the buffs. So the Painkiller Station is useless. These things have always have to be effective, always have to be on point whilst you're playing. Now, the dog should have more healing, okay, tied to their field medic. They should be able to heal more than the other classes by default, and then with everything added, like let's say the perks you put on them. Here we go. Support system should be an extra, not the base of the increased heal. What's the doc who's supposed to be the medical expert on how to apply the aid kit doing if they're healing for the same amount as the guy who's carrying the smart gun? Which also sucks. The doc should be able to heal for more out of the box. Period. Okay. And the big offender here, combat stims. Combat stims are weak, they're freaking useless. They will never be a game changer in the current situation. Make it so they give universal cooldowns to everyone, faster cooldown. You give cooldown to your allies when they're very close to you. On highest difficulty settings, this does not always apply. When you click on combat stims, everyone should be getting reduced cooldowns, and if you manage to get this to last for 15 seconds, you will be refreshing your gunner, your demo, your whatever faster. They will come out of the pinch because of you. You'll be a fucking hero, okay? If the stims get buff, we can build around the stims. As they stand now, you might as well have gun perks on here instead of anything stim related, okay? The stims are very weak and they need a rework, guys. So, these are my suggestions for all the classes. I wouldn't say like bring this to the developer's attention. As I said, I don't think I'm the expert. I'm just the guy who enjoys the game, has been gaming for many years. I'm not that young anymore anyway. And I have, let's say, I have a good understanding of how systems work in games that are related to numbers. Like I've played a ton of Neo, I've played infinite amount of games that are related to stat management, min-maxing and build crafting, and I can understand when something would become drastically better if something small was changed. So, I am making at least 2 modding guides per day. I'm putting on additional content like runs and specific configuration runs and so on and so forth. Making updates on the game situation whenever it patches significantly. We'll continue to do so. We'll support the game. We'll cover everything in it here and until the game's abandoned. So like and share for more content like this. Have a look at the description for our Discord. I will start streaming soon again, guys. I promise. Deathloop came out and I had work to do on that. And I will be preparing the review that you voted for really soon. Thank you for coming here and listening. It means the world to me. Sub, like, and share for more. Until next time, be well, stay frosty, and always strive for perfection. Cheers!